Some people say success is about luck, others say it's about talent, but let me tell you the truth. Success is about patterns. It's about doing what successful people do. If you walked into a library today, you would find books written by the most successful people in history. The clues to success are sitting on those shelves, waiting for you. The question is, will you pick them up? Most people spend years trying to figure things out on their own. But let me ask you, why struggle when others have already paved the way? The fastest way to success is to study those who have already achieved it. If you're only learning from your own experiences, you're moving too slow. Learn from those who have already made the journey. When I was 25, I was broke and full of excuses. I thought success was a mystery, something only a few lucky people figured out. But then I met a mentor who changed everything. He told me something so simple yet so powerful. Success is not a mystery, it leaves clues. At first, I didn't understand what he meant, but then I started paying attention. I looked at successful people and studied what they did differently. And do you know what I found? They weren't guessing. They weren't hoping. They were following a path that others had already walked before them. If you want to succeed, don't reinvent the wheel. Study those who have achieved what you want. If someone is wealthy, it's because they followed a certain set of principles. If someone is healthy, it's because they practiced certain habits. If someone is happy, it's because they have mastered a way of thinking. The clues are all around you. The question is, are you paying attention? I remember when I first started learning about money. I had spent years wondering why some people had financial freedom while others struggled. But when I finally picked up my first book on wealth, I realized that rich people weren't born with secret knowledge. They learned it. They applied it. They followed principles that worked. And if I wanted to change my financial future, I had to do the same. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got was this: find someone who has the life you want and do what they do. If they read, you read. If they invest, you invest. If they work hard, you work hard. If they avoid wasteful spending, you do the same. It's not about wishing for success. It's about modeling success. I once met a man who built a thriving business from the ground up. I asked him, "What's your secret?" He smiled and said, "There's no secret. I just studied successful businesses, learned what they did right, and applied it. That's it. No magic formula, no luck, just studying, learning, and applying." The problem is most people ignore the clues. They think success is random. They think it's about being in the right place at the right time. But let me tell you, if you keep looking for luck, you'll be waiting forever. Instead, start looking for patterns. Start asking, what do successful people do that I'm not doing? If you ask the right questions, you'll get the right answers. There's a reason why wealthy people read. There's a reason why successful people surround themselves with winners. There's a reason why top performers never stop learning. They know that success is not about hoping. It's about finding the clues and following them. Someone once told me, stand guard at the door of your mind. That's powerful. Because every day there are people, conversations, and influences trying to sneak in and plant weeds in your thinking. You watch the news and it tells you the world is falling apart. You listen to negative people and they convince you that success is impossible. You scroll through distractions and suddenly hours are gone with nothing to show for it. And what happens? Your mind produces more of the same: doubt, excuses, and wasted potential. I remember when I started my journey to success, my mentor told me, if you want a rich life, start feeding your mind rich ideas. That's when I picked up my first personal development book. I started reading about success, about discipline, about financial freedom. And something incredible happened. The more I fed my mind with the right materials, the more my thinking changed. My ideas got bigger. My confidence grew. My actions became more intentional. Just like a factory, your mind will only produce what it's given. If you give it weak thoughts, it will give you a weak life. If you feed it strong, positive, and success-driven ideas, it will start creating opportunities, solutions, and breakthroughs. That's how it works. I once met a man who was struggling financially, and I asked him, "What's the last book you read on wealth?" He looked at me confused and said, "I don't read." And that was the problem. He wanted success, but he wasn't filling his mind with the right knowledge to produce it. Success doesn't come by accident. It comes from training your mind with the right information and applying it daily. If you listen to negative people, you'll think negative thoughts. If you surround yourself with complainers, you'll start complaining. But if you study success, if you learn from people who have built wealth, if you feed your mind with powerful ideas every day, you'll start producing success. It's that simple. And the best part? You get to choose what goes into your mind. You can choose to read books that expand your thinking. You can choose to listen to mentors who push you toward greatness. You can choose to replace doubt with belief, laziness with discipline, and fear with action. The question is, what are you allowing into your mind right now? Because your future is being built from the raw materials you're putting in today. Choose wisely. Because what your mind produces will determine the life you live. I'll never forget the day my life changed. I was a young man, struggling, frustrated, going nowhere fast. And then I met a man who became my mentor. He started teaching me things I had never heard before, about wealth, about discipline, about how success wasn't just for the lucky few, but for those willing to learn. He taught me that if I wanted a better life, I had to start surrounding myself with better ideas, better influences, and better guidance. And that's when I realized something. Success requires the right mentors. Think about it. If you wanted to become a doctor, you wouldn't just guess your way through. You'd study under experts, read medical books, learn from people who had already mastered the field. If you wanted to become a great musician, you wouldn't just play random notes and hope for the best. You'd find a teacher, practice diligently, and study the works of the greats. Yet when it comes to success, too many people try to do it alone. They don't seek out the right mentors, and they wonder why they keep struggling. That's how powerful knowledge is. It bridges the gap between where you are and where you want to be. It gives you access to the best minds, the most valuable lessons, and the shortcuts to success. If you want to rise above the ordinary, start learning from people who have already done it. Read their books, listen to their words, absorb their lessons, because success leaves clues, and the right mentors, even in book form, can change everything. I used to wonder why some people seemed to move ahead in life while others stayed stuck. Was it luck? Was it talent? No. Over time, I learned that the real difference came down to something simple. Small daily actions, repeated consistently. It wasn't about doing something big once in a while. It was about the little things done every day, compounded over time. I'll never forget when my mentor told me success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. That changed everything for me. Because at that time, my life was full of small, careless habits, wasting time, avoiding responsibilities, skipping opportunities. And those little decisions were adding up, not in my favor. So I made a shift. I started reading 10 pages of a good book every day. I started saving just a little more money. I started practicing discipline in small ways. And at first, I didn't see much change. But over time, those small actions turned into big results. Most people think success is about one big moment, one lucky break, one brilliant idea. But that's not how it works. It's like planting a seed. You water it daily, even when you don't see immediate results. If you skip a day, it won't matter much. But if you skip too many, the plant dies. It's the same with your habits. One skipped workout won't ruin your health, but a pattern of neglect will. One missed opportunity won't destroy your finances, but poor money habits over time will. I once met a man who told me he wanted to be wealthy, but he wasn't saving or investing. He said, "I'll start when I have more money." I told him, "No, you start now, even with a little." Because wealth is built the same way anything else is. one step at a time. If you put aside a small amount consistently, it will grow. If you improve just 1% each day, in a year, you're 37 times better than when you started. But if you do nothing, nothing changes. I remember a time when I was learning sales. I wasn't very good at first. I made mistakes. I struggled. But instead of quitting, I worked on one small improvement each day. One extra phone call, one better pitch, one adjustment in my approach. And after months of daily effort, I looked back and realized I had transformed. What was once difficult had become second nature. I once knew a young man who wanted to be successful, but he spent all his time watching television and reading gossip magazines. His mind was filled with distractions, not ideas. One day, he asked me why he wasn't making progress. I asked him, "What have you been reading?" He looked confused. I told him, "Your mind is like a bank. Whatever you deposit, you can withdraw later. If you deposit wisdom, you'll have wisdom to use. If you deposit nonsense, that's what you'll have to work with." He took that advice seriously. He started reading books on success, leadership, and personal development. A year later, his thinking had completely changed, and so had his results. A good book introduces you to great minds. It allows you to sit with the wisest people in history and learn from them. You may not get to have dinner with the world's greatest achievers, but you can read their words. You can absorb their experiences. And the more you read, the more you expand your thinking. Someone once asked me, "What's the best book to start with?" I told him, "Start with any book that teaches you something valuable. Read about finances if you want to build wealth. Read about leadership if you want to influence others. Read biographies of successful people to learn how they think. But whatever you do, make reading a daily habit." Some people say, "I don't have time to read," but the truth is, we all have time for what we make a priority. Even if you read just 10 pages a day, that's 3,650 pages a year. That's 10 to 15 books. Imagine how much your thinking would grow if you read 10 life-changing books in a year. Now imagine doing that for 5 years. The difference in your life would be unbelievable. I've seen people go from struggling to thriving just by changing what they feed their minds. Because once your thinking changes, your actions change. And when your actions change, your results change. It's a simple formula. Success starts in the mind. If you want a better life, fill your mind with better ideas. Read books that challenge you. Read books that push you to think bigger. Read books that help you break free from limitations. Because the right books can change your thinking. And changed thinking can change your life. I once met a businessman who had achieved incredible success. I asked him, "What's the secret?" He smiled and said, "I never stop learning, and I never stop surrounding myself with people who push me to be better." He told me that every week he had a meeting with a group of friends who were all working on something big, whether it was business, personal development, or health. They held each other accountable. They shared ideas. They challenged each other. And because of that, they all grew together. That's the power of association. If you want to grow, be around people who value growth. If you want to succeed, be around people who refuse to settle for less. Find people who read, who think, who are always looking for ways to improve. And most importantly, make sure they inspire you to do the same. Because the truth is, who you spend time with will shape who you become. Choose wisely. I remember when I first realized that my future wasn't in the hands of the government, my employer, or even my family. It was in my hands. That was a defining moment in my life because it meant I could no longer make excuses. If I wanted to rise above the ordinary, it was up to me to learn, apply what I learned, and take control of my future. Too many people wait for things to change. They wait for the economy to improve, for their boss to recognize their hard work, for someone to come along and give them a lucky break. But success doesn't work that way. Success is something you create with your own hands, with your own mind, with your own effort. The question isn't whether success is possible for you. The question is whether you're willing to learn, apply, and rise above the ordinary. A man once came up to me and said, "I've been working hard for years, but I'm still struggling. Why is success so difficult? I asked him, what have you been learning? What new skills have you developed? What books have you read? He looked down and admitted that he hadn't done much learning at all. He had been working hard, but he had been doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. That's the mistake many people make. Hard work alone won't change your future. Hard work with learning and application, that's the combination that leads to success. I always say, if you want life to get better, you have to get better. That means reading books that expand your thinking. It means listening to people who have achieved what you want to achieve. It means developing new skills, improving your habits, and applying what you've learned.